Morning, everyone. Welcome to the November 23rd, 2021 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're with us this morning. And anybody watching live on Facebook, glad you're with us too. We will begin as we always do with an invocation, and Reverend Eric Hoy, our friend from First Presbyterian Church, is going to lead us in prayer. Please stand.
Let us pray. Holy and loving God, on the week of Thanksgiving, we stand before you to pause and recognize that you are God. You are creator, provider, protector, giver of all good things, and with humble hearts, we give you the gratitude that you deserve. Help us not take for granted of all your blessings which you bestow upon us every day. And now we ask for your blessing to be upon this fiscal court meeting. Guide and direct the decisions of these magistrates that they make on behalf of the people of this county. Bless the agenda and the leaders that stand before me today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate Moran.
Here.
Magistrate Southern.
Here.
Magistrate Berry.
Here.
Magistrate McCollum. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have before you in your packet the minutes of the November 9th, 2021 fiscal court meeting. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other corrections, clarifications, or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, again, welcome everybody, and I'm going to apologize in advance for the construction noise. It's a big project, and they've started, and it should be terrific when it's done, but for now it's kind of annoying, so again, apologize for that. We're going to begin with our Judges Scholar, Logan Jenkins from East Heights Elementary is with us. And Logan, I would like you to meet me right up here in front of this. Logan, we have a very special proclamation in your honor, and I'll ask the clerk to read.
Hate this. Logan Jenkins has been chosen by East Heights Elementary School to be the recipient of the Judges Scholar Award due to exceptional efforts in both academics and school activities. And whereas Logan's hard work and dedication in making the most of educational experiences and developing positive relationships with teachers and other students will lead to future success. And whereas success is measured in many different ways, whether it be a passing test, scoring the winning point, achieving a particular goal, or taking the necessary steps for overall improvement. And whereas the Henderson County school system could not let Logan's efforts go unnoticed, and whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court supports the school system and acknowledges these accomplishments as being significant because students, such as Logan Jenkins, will be our future leaders. Now, therefore, I, Brad Schneider, County Judge Executive of Henderson, join with the Henderson County Fiscal Court to proclaim today, November 23rd, 2021, as Logan Jenkins Day in Henderson County.
Tell you what, let's do the first one, just Logan, and me, and then
picture with all of you?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We're going to have a seat in the chair of honor over there.
And
Congratulations, Logan. We're proud of you. And now you get to see the most exciting part of your day, government in action. And I'm being facetious. But congratulations again. We're glad you're here. And congrats to the family. We have another proclamation, very special one, and I think it's the reason many of you are here today, and rightfully so. We're going to be celebrating some junior firefighters. And I'd like Melvin Fulkerson of the Zion Volunteer Fire Department to come up and bring up your guests, introduce them, please, and you're going to have a little PowerPoint detailing the program for us. Again, if you would introduce your guests.
You guys have Amber, Faith, Decker, and Patterson.
That's the fire department way to introduce them. I know, just last names, but
It is.
Ms. Fambro. Oops, sorry. What's your first name? Madison. And Levi Patterson, Caleb Decker, and Shelby Banks. So glad you're with us. Go ahead.
So just to give you some background with the junior program, okay, the Fire Commission several years ago come up with a program for the juniors. Okay, they have to be normally for volunteers you have to be 18 years old or older to be on a volunteer fire department. So the Fire Commission decided they were going to come up with a new program. So it's geared towards teenagers. Okay, so at the age of 16 they can join the fire department, and there's certain things that they can do throughout their training. Okay. So what they've done is we have a guideline of training that they have along with it's tied to the school.
I think Brent's going to fix your mic there.
Okay.
Want to make sure we hear every word. There you go.
Okay. So also the program is also tied to the school. So they have to submit all of their class report cards. All of that has to be submitted to the fire department so we can send that into the state. Okay. If for whatever reason those grades drop below a C, then they're suspended from the program until they get their grades back up. So they didn't want to take all the time from the school system for us doing training. So they have to do that. So they've done really good with that. They've submitted everything. Everything's good. So we've, if they get into trouble at school, that also falls into the fire service. They get suspended from the program if that ever occurs. So I mean, it's not just coming to training and things like that. All of their activities that they do outside the fire service also rolls back into the fire service. Along with that, they have certain different classes that they have to attend. So with that, they have 30 hours of training that they have to attend. Okay, the state sets that guideline. Okay. They might say that there's 2 hours in ladders. Well, we might think, hey, that we need more than that, so we'll add more training in the areas that we feel that they need to do. Okay. The key to the program is they're allowed to ride with us. If we have a structure fire, they can go with us. Okay, that's really good. We need the personnel. Okay, there's only certain things that they can do. So like changing air pack bottles, we don't have time to have somebody change an air pack bottle. These guys know how to do that. We also train them on how to catch a hydrant. Okay, so if we pull up to a hydrant, they know what, if we pull up and say, hey, we want you to lay a 5-inch line, they know off the back of the truck what to get. I can drive the truck, or whoever's driving the truck can go to the fire. They're trained to go from the fire hydrant to the fire truck. They know what to do. Last night they had their test out. So along with that, every night they have whatever subject they're doing. So if they do ladders one night, okay, then the next night they'll have a written test over what they did the previous week before. So there's really quizzes along with that, and then there's skills that attach to that. And then at the end, we have one big night where we take all of those skills and we don't tell them, we want you to do this, and they have to prove to us that they have the knowledge to do that. So last night they did that, and the written test they took last night was a 75-question multiple test that we did. So everybody did really well on that. So it's a really good achievement. So along with that, some of the things that they've done. So we took them to the city training grounds. We were going to do ladder operations, and we started off doing a Connex box. It's about an 8-foot Connex box. We were going to put ground ladders up, and we started doing that evolution. And about halfway through, the city ladder truck showed up. And we're like, oh my gosh, that's a big truck. It's like, it is. And guess what? Here in a minute, you already get to climb it. And they're like, we get to climb that thing? Yes, you do. So the restrictions are, it's a 105-foot ladder truck. The state requires that they can only climb 75 foot. So we extended it 75 foot and let them climb that. So the city fire department, we trained with those guys too. So the guys got to do some of that evolutions and set the trucks up. So after we got it 75 foot, then we decided we were going to do something. We were going to do a rescue out of the 3rd-story building. So what we did was we placed a ladder in the 3rd-story window, and they had to climb up to the top and then go into the 3rd-story building. So they did that on their own. They loved that. We had a little bit. Some people are scared of heights. Some people aren't. We don't know, but we achieved that. Okay. So this is the guys up at the tip of the ladder. Okay. So we got up to the tip. We're like, hey, you have to crawl through the window. So we did that. The girls also did it. Along with that, CPR. Okay, so we have CPR first aid. Okay, it's another requirement that the fire commission decided to do because, you know, the reason for firemen to die is cardiac arrest. So we teach everybody CPR just in case that they're on scene and we have a cardiac arrest issue, they can help do that. So also if we have a run out in the county, they can go with us. They know how to use the defibrillators that we have and all of that stuff. So they're already trained to that level just in case something happens on scene that they can help us with. So we have children. They did children, adult, pediatrics, all of that. There again, tying with the city fire department, we met with those guys. The county doesn't really have a rescue team for ropes. So we had them come in and do the rope part of the class, and then also with that we did ladders at the same time. Fire extinguishers, there again we just did some fire extinguisher training behind the fire station. Active fire training, they can't really be in any active fire training. The only thing that they can do is a 4-foot by 4-foot burn pan. So that's what we do. We take gas and diesel and mix it, and they can use a fire extinguisher for that. It's the only active fire that they can do. This one's not a really good picture, but this is a roof simulator at the city fire department. So what it is it's a 4-foot by 4-foot piece of OSB plywood, basically to represent decking. So they have to climb up on the Connex box. They have to cut a 4x4 hole in that, so like we were going to ventilate. Okay, it's one of those skills that they can do. It's kind of weird that they'll let them do it as a state. You have to be a state fire instructor to let this operation occur. We are very fortunate at Zion. We have 4 state fire instructors, so they can do this operation. If not, they wouldn't be able to go up on the roof and cut it with a chainsaw. They have to use an axe. So those are some of the options that they have. A couple of other pictures. We try to do it at night, try to make it more, normally it's not always pretty and sunny outside, so we try to do some night operations. Forcible entry. We do forcible entry where they have to force entry through doors and things like that. It's another skill that they can learn. This is the Connex box I was talking about, taking the ladders and putting up on that. So those are some of the operations. Hoses, okay, they're catching a hydrant there, going into one of the trucks. So those guys know how to do that. And then, they're stretching a line out. We might pull up on scene and say, hey, we need for you to pull this pre-connect. So they can go ahead and get it out. We can start getting our packs on and things like that. It's really a big benefit for us, things that we don't have to do. There again, tying to the trucks, they already know where those hoses go. We don't have to tell them, So with that, that's what they've done. It's took them, I don't know, probably a couple of months to do that. We do training on Monday nights. And, depending on what the weather is, some nights we go out and we play outside. Sometimes we sit in classrooms. I mean, it's not all hands-on. Some of it's, lectures and stuff like that. But they've done really well. So.
That's outstanding and impressive. I didn't realize this program was so in-depth. The fact that you can do all those things on scene already is pretty surprising to me.
It's a big benefit, yes.
And excellent work. We're all proud of you. we're going to read a proclamation in your honor, and I tell you what I'd like to do is have the whole gang and you, Melvin, meet me up here while we read this, and then I'm sure a lot of folks would like to get pictures. I also appreciate all the other representatives of volunteer fire departments being here today and helping celebrate this. Whatever your plans are for firefighting as a volunteer or professional, I'll tell you that volunteering for a fire department out in the county is one of the most honorable things you can do. You're helping your community, being selfless in that way, and we're absolutely fortunate that some people are willing to do that. And not only the current firefighters in the room, but people who are looking that direction, we're thankful. And so if you don't mind coming right up here.
Judge, can I ask one thing before?
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys, too. And I was telling you guys earlier how important the volunteer fire departments are, because, you know, where I worked for years and years and years, it's not only fires, but it's wrecks and medical, it's all kinds of things. And without the volunteer fire department, there's a lot of times when I was out working a wreck or something on the road, it would have been almost impossible. But they are great, great help, and I've always been a big advocate of volunteer firemen, so thank you guys for doing that. Another thing too, Melvin, I know with the workforce being a problem these days, maybe you can make a pitch for, tell us if you, I mean, I'm sure the fire departments are short trying to get people. Maybe you could put in give a spiel for that, maybe try to get some people interested.
I was going to say, what winded up, we started doing this, we talked about it, we had 2 from our department, from Zion, okay, and then we've got a couple of other people. One of the firefighter Fambro, her dad is on basket, okay, so he heard that we were going to do the program, so there again, we're kind of reaching outside. Banks, her dad is on the fire department along with us, and so he heard about the program. She's from Cardin, so it's not just our department. We're trying to reach outside. Normally what happens is within the fire service, there's 11 departments in the county, and normally when they bring the juniors to the table, they sit them all together with the regular group of guys that we would all continue to train with. But with the state having those guidelines already set for those classes that those people can do, the juniors can do, we kind of set that up and do it just for them and teach them what they need to do, so that, you know, a lot of the older guys that are on our department, they kind of help teach the juniors, and they really love doing that, you know, so it kind of helps bring that continuity together.
I'd like to thank all of you and all the firefighters. You all make our community safer, and without the fire departments, I know we just pay a pittance on our property taxes, but without that, most people couldn't afford insurance. Niagara got a truck, this has been many years ago, but up in the area where the judge lives, a fellow's insurance, the rating went down, I guess it was down, and it saved them $500 on their insurance bill, just that one thing. So I can tell you what you all do saves the citizens of Henderson County thousands and thousands of dollars, and you make our community much safer, and I appreciate what everybody does. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, good point, though.
Yeah, it
Matt
is.
Cullum, that's an excellent point.
I hate it when they complain about that little amount of money on our tax bill.
Yeah.
Goes a long ways.
Well, and thanks to the hard work of our firefighters and communicating their value, I think we've been able to fix that in many respects and give the volunteer fire departments the resources they need, and that's getting better. I tell you what, let's read the proclamation first, and then we'll take some pictures, okay?
Whereas Shelby Banks, Caleb Decker, Madison Fambro, and Levi Patterson made a deliberate choice to go above and beyond a normal teen's interests and activities by devoting many hours of their training time for the junior firefighter program. And whereas the junior firefighter program requirements are stringent, compelling a minimum of 30 hours of training in administration, safety, fire behavior, portable extinguishers, PPE, forcible entry, ventilation, ropes, ladders, hose, fire control, loss control, driver's training, incident command, CPR, AED, and first aid. And whereas while many volunteer fire departments struggle to replace older volunteers, the junior firefighter program provides increased awareness to our youth about volunteering and supporting the fire and emergency services, and provides departments with additional help in accomplishing non-firefighting or non-emergency tasks. Whereas whether Shelby, Caleb, Madison, and Levi's interest in firefighting was spurred by a family member or just because they had a heart for volunteerism, these young people are to be commended in their efforts. And whereas the junior firefighter program is allowing Shelby, Caleb, Madison, and Levi to gain insight and interest in becoming long-term members of the emergency services while educating their parents on the importance of encouraging volunteerism. Now, therefore, I, Brad Schneider, County Judge Executive, Henderson County, join with the Henderson County Fiscal Court to declare Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021 as Junior Firefighter Day in Henderson County.
Yeah, I know it. Make me want to shoot back.
There we go. There we go. Don't even think about it.
Yeah, I got you. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
You know, Judge, it reminds me of John 15:13, where it says there's no greater love than to be willing to lay down your life for your fellow man, and that's what these young people are willing to do, and that means a lot. Thank you all.
Thank you. And I know they're busy and have places to go, but Logan, it just shows that the rest of the agenda is so exciting that we're going to be left with a smaller crowd, but I don't blame them. Again, please excuse the construction sound. Part of the deal here today. Moving on, I have two appointments to the Cooperative Extension District Board. There are two openings. Folks are rolling off. After consulting with staff and considering the qualifications of the names that were submitted to me, I'd like to appoint both Sherry Smith and David Hatchett to the board. They're both very familiar with Extension, having served in other capacities at the Extension office, and recommended highly. So I'll entertain a motion to appoint Sherry Smith and David Hatchett.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, I appreciate the Fiscal Court's work in making a couple tweaks to the Code Enforcement Board ordinance that we have worked to get squared away. We're going to have first reading. Before we do that, Mr. Gold, anything you'd like to add?
No, Judge, other than we took the input that we got from Fiscal Court last time and worked that into the draft. There were a couple of very minor changes in there in response to Fiscal Court's consensus. So I think we have a good draft at this point, and in deference to Mr. Wiesen, I think reading it by title, since there have been so many work sessions, might be.
Yeah. We got two copies. Could you just elaborate what the difference was?
Well, one was a red line that just shows what was added in. I think, like I say, they were very minor on that red line. You'll see that
Unsafe structure.
Randy wanted to flesh out a little bit the definition of unsafe structures, and I think he mentioned that to you all last time. But other than that, we just took the same timelines and everything that y'all were good with and went forward.
And I certainly don't have any objections just to reading the summary.
Yep. I'll add to that comment that I have contacted the 5 members of the current Board of Housing Appeals, which serve a similar but not exactly the same function now. They all expressed interest to serve as the Code Enforcement Board to get it up and running, and they're all good people, and they are all willing to populate the board when we begin. I'll probably bring that appointment to you next meeting to approve. We'll be appointing them in staggering terms so they don't roll off all at the same time. But I was pleased that they were willing to continue to help us in that way. So with that, we'll read a summary.
An ordinance establishing a code enforcement board pursuant to KRS 65.8801 to 65.8839 to dissolve the Board of Appeals, to consolidate the Property Maintenance Code and Nuisances and Unsafe Structures Code, and make violations of said ordinance a civil offense to be heard by the Code Enforcement Board.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next in your packet is animal control reports. I know we have Representative Humane Society with us. Anything you'd like to add? Yeah, come on up if you'd like to add something.
So the only thing that I really have that probably is new to you that's not on the report, the shelter is going to be closed on Friday for the holiday, so animal control will be on call. And we're still looking for new animal control officers right now, so come on, buddy.
How many do you need?
We're looking for 2 more.
2 more.
Because the one we had hired, she unfortunately left, so kind of going through it again.
Yeah.
But other than that, did you have any questions for me?
Do you advertise those positions?
We do. We have it on Indeed, and then we also kind of post on the Humane Society and Animal Control on Facebook and try and get it out there.
I get the sense that we have some success in finding people and hiring them. It's just keeping them. They don't stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
having
been
that
the
problem
issue.
At the jail too, so.
Yeah. And I will say, animal control can be a very thankless job. So I know it's not easy.
Yeah, I have discovered that since I got sworn in.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's.
You got to stay.
And we thank you.
So it's been enlightening, so. All right.
Any questions about the report submitted? We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, and we do thank you. Amy Jayla Brady contacted me, said she had a meeting this morning she couldn't miss. She did not have anything to add as new news with the detention center at this point. If members of the jail committee have a comment or two or anything you'd like to, for the good of the group, anything you'd like to mention?
She just mentioned that the architect, that they were working on the plans for that. But,
for converting the CDC
Right.
unit into.
And they may have to look at doing something to the old building that take the place of it or work it out. She was working on those things with the architect and whatnot. So.
Keep us posted on that. Next, County Clerk Renee Abner, your report, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Today I have a check for $129,684.17 in excess fees for the month of October 2021, which is a part of a grand total of $169,848.75 submitted to the county. Calendar year to date, our total is $1,716,292.76.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Motion to accept Renese's report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you,
Thank
Renese.
you.
Mr. Gold, your report.
Logan, it's always hard following somebody that gives them over $100,000. So I've got two checks today, flow through from the city, $458.33, and interest in the amount of $7.56 for a grand whopping total of $465.89, and bringing the fiscal year total to date to $99,881.51.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Gold, we appreciate yours just as much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, keep up the good work, too.
Treasurer Brenda Ryder, come up, fill us in on transfers claims, please.
You have one transfer as presented, and it is redistributing the appropriation within the current year budget for the road department.
Isn't that for the rocks out in the 3rd district?
I thought it was for your district.
No, it wasn't for my district.
Nice.
Thank you, Brenda.
Nice.
Was it the alley
That's nice.
behind 8th Street up?
I think we're very
That's
stopped.
nice. I've been here 6 years. That's the best zinger by Brenda Ryder I've heard.
You have received your bank balances after paying claims today. Your day-to-day appropriation line should be at approximately 41%.
A motion to approve the transfer request.
Sorry.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second on the transfer. Any questions, Brenda, on that?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now you can go to the bank balances and percentages.
Okay, your day-to-day appropriation line items should be at approximately 41%. I do have 2 additional claims. From the general fund to Mark's Guns Incorporated in the amount of $1,354.50. This is to come from the sheriff's ammunition appropriation line. Also to Magistrate Moran in the amount of $3,279.72. This is for calendar year 2021 training incentive and is to come from the Fiscal Court training appropriation line and is also to be paid in the first payroll of December.
Make a motion to approve the transfers. I mean, not.
Pay the claims.
Pay the claims,
Second.
excuse me.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any other discussion or questions of Brenda? Any other comments from the Finance Committee?
Everything looks great.
We met yesterday.
I've got a comment, but let's go ahead and vote on this first.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Mr. McCollum?
Yeah, yesterday in our meeting, we discussed our appropriation documentation, and I think it would make it a little clearer if we had under each office's lines, we had their portion of the Social Security, their portion of the like the heat, the utilities, everybody for each additional, and then you have a grand total so you can see that. Brenda said that it would be really, really difficult to do it right now. I would like to make a motion that Steve does a resolution that we do that, but start that next fiscal year. I mean when we do the budget and do it for next year, not now, but to do it started in July, if that's okay. If anybody would second that.
May I add something?
Please.
The benefit part of it would be very doable, but you mentioned utilities, and the utility bills, I mean, are paid by one bill for per building and that sort of thing. We could probably do square footage, but that probably would be outside of the regular appropriation report.
Well, I mean, you could just break it down by, we could do the square footage and you got a percentage of the building and just do it that way.
Why don't we, instead of passing a resolution now.
I'm not passing a resolution, I'm asking Steve to prepare one.
Okay. Why don't we work a little harder on exactly what we want and what's possible. And I mean, we have till next fiscal year to do it. So, I mean, I don't know that it's necessary right now because there's a lot of questions, and plus we got to figure out how to do this as efficiently as possible too. I'm sure there's ways. So, you mind holding off just a bit and let us work that out?
Just as long as we don't let it slide and forget it. I just would like to get it done. I mean, I think it's just a cost accounting procedure, and it's not that difficult.
I know.
I think
No.
a farmer can do it. I mean, we can all do it, and we have to appropriate it. Just get the square footage, and you take the Social Security, you take the number, the 6.2 or whatever the multiplier is, and I mean, it's not, once you get that down, it should be a piece of cake.
We had some experience with that, with the federal match that we do for our child support stuff. And one of the things that we found is that you know, we have the square footage that the child support division takes in our office, and we were able to do that, and then they had us do the square footage of the building and all of that. Where you run into then is some issues with the common areas.
Right.
And the way this building is heated and cooled, for example, I think that we have one area that used to be a hallway that goes all the way from one end of my office to the other end of Renice's, that's all controlled on the same run somehow. So I mean, it gets, just because of the way the building has evolved over the years, that gets a little complicated in that. But if you're just doing square footage, it is definitely possible. The question does become about some of those common areas and shared areas.
Yeah.
And to make sure we don't let it drop, do you want to work with Brenda on what you'd like to see in that report and ongoing, and then figure those little details out?
If somebody's got the picture of the courthouse and what the outline of what the square footage is, I'll be happy to do that, or figure it out and then divide the.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Well, you're trying to share the cost of utilities. I see.
Right.
Well, yeah. Do you mind? I'm sure we can get that.
Okay, if we can get that, I'll work with you on that. That it won't be a problem. Now we will. I don't know that we'll have the same problems. We had a problem when the old courthouse was here in this building, and I'm assuming something's going to happen when we take over the other building as far as the rent. The AOC paid for this room. This was the circuit court room. They paid square footage and paid nothing for any of the common areas, and they based their what they would pay us on what it cost to build this building in 1962, I think, and I'm sure they're going to do something like that to us.
They've already let it be known what they will pay. Yeah. Period.
That's all you'll get. I mean,
it's the only situation I know of where the rentor tells the rentee what they're going to pay, regardless of what the expense is, the overhead is.
Yes.
Yeah. And they've reduced that number.
Oh, they
reduced that number. Yeah, it's consternation.
Well, we had I mean, that was one reason that we didn't have the county attorney's office over there, or the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, or because if you had anybody else other than AOC's people over there, they wouldn't pay for any of the common areas. I mean, it's just sort of strange. Welcome to the Commonwealth of Kentucky is all I can say.
I did want to point out, as you said, we should be at 41%.
Yes, sir.
Again, good job by our department heads. The general fund appropriations are at 39.69%, but what makes that even more impressive is that among the appropriations are the 1.04 million and change ARPA funds that we brought in and then, had to move around. We brought them in the general fund and then appropriated them. We didn't adjust our appropriations budget. We just brought in those revenues and then spent them. So that's 39.69%, including 1.4 million we didn't budget at the beginning. So if you go back to the original plan, it's even better than 39%. So great job to our department heads as we make sure we're frugal, and I think all the other departments, if I'm not mistaken, are on target. Even as we, the only one that's over budget at this point, over percentage budget, is the road department, primarily because we put so much more money after the fact into asphalt. So that's a good thing, and it's at 52.8%. But of course, the road department has seasons of spending, and asphalt season is one of the largest. So I think they're basically on track, and the jail is as well.
Brad, you had some, what I considered pretty good news when you were up at the conference. If you wouldn't mind about the retirement, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with everybody.
Well, because of various factors, including the stock market, the projections now for the percentage that the county will have to contribute for state retirements for our employees looks like it's going to flatten out a little bit quicker than we'd hoped, or we feared, I should say. You know, lately, in the last several years, we've been asked to add 12% to the total, and as we partnered with Compass Group to kind of project out for us what that was going to look like, it's pretty intimidating. However, the performance overall for the stock market has been better, and I think because of some decisions made at the state level, that 12% increase for the next 4 or 5 years looks like it won't be needed. So we'll be able to be a little less oppressed by that retirement number. You know, fingers crossed. That's the projection now. I thought I was screwing up my microphone somehow. I think as well, the burden on small counties that this is placed is prompting the state legislator to look at this harder and get something done, because while we're in good enough shape to have withstood that 12% for at least a time, smaller counties cannot. One more year of that, and many were going to go under. And so I think the legislature has heard that and maybe easing the number back a bit. So.
Will they tell us that, say, in March or April, what our actual increase will be this year?
We should be getting a notification as we budget.
Whenever that comes in, let us know.
Now, the projection I saw, if you remember, Master McCollum, was from current year, the next year was 2025, and then after a year was, I think it was in 10 or 15-year increments after that.
Yeah.
So it could be 12% again next year, but because their projection's over 5, but at least that's less than what we were thinking about now.
I mean, just looking at what you showed me yesterday, it looked like we stay under 30%.
Yes.
Which,
yes.
I mean, we were looking at going to 59-point-something%, which is just going to kill everybody, but yeah.
Which will make all of our lives easier as we budget and help our employees. And so, yeah, we'll just fingers crossed that it was good news at that point. But as I mentioned to Master McCollum yesterday, it can all change. It can all change in a week. It can change in a year. Just got to deal with what the state wants to do. So, anything else?
That's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
As we hear Hayes crews outside fixing our front steps, we have a contract that we'd like to sign that spells out exactly our responsibilities and their responsibilities. Mr. Gold has reviewed this. Anything you'd like to add?
It's approved as to form and legality.
Bill Hubiak has reviewed this. He approves. They've both been over the contract. It does reflect what we're requiring them to do in the spec that we bid out, and as well as a couple other protections. So,
make a motion to allow Brad to sign this and approve this contract.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any other questions about that?
We do have a resolution to go with that.
Okay. We're going to let me read the resolution real quick, and then we'll vote.
Resolution authorizing Henderson County Judge Executive to execute construction services agreement with Hayes Construction Company for a replacement of courthouse steps. Whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court is desirous of making certain fiscal alterations to the entryway and steps to the county courthouse, and lawfully advertise such projects for bids. And whereas the proposal of Hayes Construction Company was recommended by the county engineer, and whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court deems it in the best interest of Henderson County to enter into the attached construction services proposal agreement with Hayes Construction Company along with the attachment thereto. Now therefore be resolved as the Henderson County Fiscal Court authorizes and directs County Judge Executive Brad Schneider to execute the attached document entitled Construction Services Proposal and to execute any and all other necessary and appropriate documents required to effectuate the intent thereof.
So we do have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're going to go into a quick executive session based on possible litigation that we're involved in.
It is my recommendation that the fiscal court go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.8101C regarding discussions of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency.
We will be back in a moment. This shouldn't take very long. We'll meet in the back conference room.
Should not take long.
We need a
motion to go into executive session. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Get a motion to go out of executive session.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll now have the clerk read the resolution on the matter at hand.
Resolution authorizing Henderson County Judge Executive to execute National Opioid Litigation Subdivision Distributor Settlement Participation Forms with opioid distributors and other settling defendants. Whereas the Henderson Fiscal Court has been a participant in national class action litigation against distributors of opioids, and whereas proposed settlement from Americasaurus Bergen, Cardinal Health, and McKeeson distributors and Johnson & Johnson collectively settling defendants, which will involve settlement funds being paid to the state to allocate to local governments. And whereas the Henderson Fiscal Court's legal counsel in this matter, Levin Papantonio Rafferty, have prepared modified participation agreements conditioned upon the state reaching an agreed upon allocation agreement with its local governments, whereas the Henderson Fiscal Court deems it in the best interest of Henderson County to enter into the attached settlement participation forms. Now therefore be it resolved that as Henderson County Fiscal Court authorizes directs County Judge Executive Brad Schneider to execute the attached documents entitled Subdivision Distributor Settlement Participation Form and Subdivision Janssen Settlement Participation Form, and to execute any and all other necessary and appropriate documents required to effectuate the intent thereof.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we reached good of the county. Any members of the audience like to say anything for good of the county? We'll go around the horn. Tim, I'm going to put you back in the leadoff spot. We'll start with you.
I think that we're finally getting to the end of this crop season. I think everybody's getting it finished up. Might be a little bit of crop left, but it's a lot less farm equipment going to be running up down the roads. I appreciate everyone's patience. Been out riding the roads. Roads look good. Blacktop looks good. I think we did a good thing with the blacktop we purchased and put down. So all's good in District 3.
I think I heard you say all's good in District 3.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Other than that 50 cow going off there.
Master Moran.
I would like to again congratulate Logan and his family, and I look forward to going to lunch with them today, or breakfast, or whatever this meal will be. And I too appreciate the roads. There are some new ones, and it's been great. And I know that the other guys will do too. And so thank you all so much, and have a happy Thanksgiving, and all's well in District 2.
Thank you, Master Putman.
Thank you, Judge. Just congratulations, Logan. That's a big honor. You know, it's when you get something like that and you've done so well, the pressure's on. This is the great expectation of your parents, right? But anyway, enjoy your day. You make your school proud, and continue your good work. Judge, and everything is good in the fourth. Thank you.
Thank you, Master McCollum.
Thank you, Judge. Logan, I too would like to congratulate you. That I just keep up the good work. Okay. I too am appreciative of the blacktop, even though I don't have any roads. But our community, without good transportation and roads, we're not going to attract good industry, and it just is good for everybody. So I'm in favor of what we're doing, and I hope we can keep it up and continue to get it back up and move our roads back up. We lost a bunch of ground on them, and I'd like to see if we can help catch that back up. But everything is pretty good in the 5th. I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving and a good week, a short week, I guess. But I'm certainly looking forward to it, seeing family and being back together. That's something that we haven't done for, it seems like forever, but a long time. And so I know we're getting together, and it's just going to be nice to be some semblance of normalcy that I crave. So anyway, we're all good in the 5th, and thanks everybody.
Thank you, Master Perry.
You know, I didn't hear one thing that those three over there said because of tearing down the building, but I would think that they congratulated Logan, as I will too, and his parents. I know you're proud of him, and so are we. I know your whole school is. That's a big accomplishment to be up here. You're the only one here. Everybody else is at school. And you get to go have a free lunch and eat all you can. So thanks for the blacktop, Charlie and Butch. We appreciate your blacktop as well, Beth and Tim and I do. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and I think everything's good in the first. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Gold?
Things are good in the county attorney's office, Judge. Again, want to congratulate Logan as the proud parent of 2 former East Heights Hawks. I know how hard it is because that's such a great school with so many great students in it, and being picked to be the one to come here, that's a big deal. So I know how big that is because that's a really good school with a lot of really good students. So congratulations. And seeing you and seeing our junior firefighters makes me feel really good about the future of Henderson. We've got a lot of people stepping up to do great things and being willing to, like I said earlier, there's no greater love than to be willing to put your life on the line for your fellow man and woman, and that's what they're willing to do, and that's a big deal, and we need to honor that, and I'm very thankful for that. And we're in this time of giving thanks and Thanksgiving. We all have a lot of things to be thankful for, and a lot of blessings to count. And the challenge that we have is to figure out ways to make those blessings count after we count them. And I'm personally thankful for family, for health, for co-workers, and the ability to continue to serve with this fiscal court. You all have been great to work with, and I'm very thankful for that, each and every one of you and all the people involved in Henderson County government. I think we've got a really good team together, and that is a blessing that I give thanks for.
Thank you, Steve. I'll join the chorus. Logan, congratulations. I know your family's proud, and you should be proud. You said you were going to be nervous, but you didn't look nervous to me up here. You look like you were really happy to be here, and you should be, and it's a great acknowledgement of your accomplishments. So keep up the good work. I'm proud of you, glad you're here, and enjoy lunch on us. I expect a full report from the master about how well you did in knocking back our free lunch, so good luck. As I mentioned a couple of meetings ago, Brent Hebner, our occupational tax administrator, has desired to resign his position to spend more time with his family. He's retired military, his wife's retired military, and she's a physician, and they're now empty nesters, and they have visions of actually going on vacations now and spending some time together, and I always respect that. I always knew that was what was going to happen with Brent, but really appreciate the work that he did for us in professionalizing the occupational tax office, bringing it in-house. It's been a boon to our budget, and the way he was able to make sure that the law was applied fairly across the board so that our local businesses that were compliant weren't in a competitive disadvantage against businesses coming in to do work who were not following the law. I really appreciate that about Brent. So we've been scouring the bushes, beating the bushes for his replacement, and thanks to a great reference from Mr. Gold, we have identified that person. Her name is Jessica LaRue, was Jessica Mertz. She, former assistant in Steve's office, an attorney who left for the private sector, has rethought that. She's newly married, relatively newly married, and lives in Henderson, would like to, found that time was more valuable than she thought, and has, after interviews with both myself and Brent Hebner, I would like to get permission to hire her at $50,000 a year, less than Brent's making, but I think a good enough salary that we'll be able to keep her. She's looking forward to joining us, and I think she will be a great addition and will carry on the good work that Brent has started. I think it's great to get an attorney in there because she has certain expertise that will help her, and I just think she's going to be a great addition. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and hire Jessica LaRue to be our occupational tax administrator.
I'd so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. I'll say that she begins on November 29th, so she can shadow Brent for a month, and then Brent will ride off into the sunset first of the year. And he is already prepared to begin that training. So,
And Judge, is there still an idea that she might do some work with the Code Enforcement Board?
yes, I wanted, thank you for reminding me. As you know, the Code Enforcement Ordinance asks for a secretary for the board, and I broached with her the idea of being that person. That would be in addition to her duties as occupational tax administrator. I thought about what might be appropriate to pay for that position, and I thought the sum of $2,000 a year, basically salary, would probably be enough to encompass all the things that she has to do for the board. And we would just add that on to her salary so as occupational tax administrator, so she would serve the board. We'd have that in place as we prepare to start that. I was going to talk about that a little bit more when we got to the second reading, but might as well do it now.
Sorry.
That's all right. So we have a motion and a second on hiring her. Let's go ahead and vote on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? If you'd like to, at the moment, accept her willingness to serve as secretary to the Code Enforcement Board for $2,000 a year. We would both have to, we'll insert that into the budget to accommodate that. And if you want to go ahead and appoint her now, that'd be convenient. So
I don't have a problem with it, but could she also be their legal advisor too?
that's a good question.
Well, the way the ordinance reads, the county attorney's office is probably going to need to be the one doing that. There will be some of the back end stuff. It probably wouldn't be right to have their attorney doing some of the board's internal stuff.
Okay,
You know,
I've
so
got no
those are
problem. You all
concern.
got it worked out. I'm okay with it. I'd make a motion to approve Brad's suggestion on the $2,000.
Second.
I know.
So we have a motion and a second to both accept her appointment to that position along with $2,000 salary. Is that the motion, just to clarify?
Correct, yes.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I'm glad she's willing to do it, and helps her a little bit and helps us. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Christmas parade's coming up December 3, Saturday, December 3. We're going to have a float, a trailer in the parade, thanks to Master Barry, who unfortunately won't actually be able to join us that day, but he's going to prepare our trailer. I hope everybody can participate. Kenny Garrett's been kind enough to volunteer the EMA truck to tow us around and participate in the parade. So December 4th, I'm sorry, that's Saturday. We'll be getting out more information about when we should all be there to be a part of the parade. So thank you, Master Barry, and thank you, Kenny. Mr. Gold and I are beginning the process of working with Angela Comer to develop a vaccine/mandate program in accordance with the executive order of the president. There's a complicating factor there in that there are lawsuits out there, and OSHA has stood down while those lawsuits work their way through the courts. Don't know when that'll be, don't know how long that'll take, but on the advice of KCO and as well as Mr. Gold, we're going to go ahead and set our policy in place by the deadline in December that it's been recommended. And I'd like your permission to go ahead and work with Steve and Angela to set that procedure. It will be based on some templates, some kind of boilerplate language that both OSHA has available to us and KCO might be helping with as well. And our intention is to have a vaccine or testing policy. So,
Judge, can I?
Yes,
a little bit?
absolutely.
Okay, so we've all heard about the OSHA vaccine mandate or the OSHA rule on that. So there are essentially two options under that. You can have a policy where it's a vaccine policy, everybody must be vaccinated to continue to work, or you can have something where the employee has the option to either be vaccinated or tested on a regular basis. After consultation with the judge, the general feeling was that we assumed the fiscal court would prefer the vaccine and testing option. Those are really the two main options that exist under that OSHA rule. There is currently an injunction in place from the Fifth Circuit. There were a lot of lawsuits all around the nation. They had a drawing. It was literally like numbers on ping pong balls drawing for where all of those cases were going to be consolidated into. And the Sixth Circuit, which is our circuit, was the one that drew the short straw. And now all of those cases are going to be funneled through the Sixth Circuit. So there should be something done on that somewhat soon. The question becomes, since there's an injunction in place, it hits the pause button on things, and OSHA has hit the pause button, but it can be lifted at any point if for some reason the Sixth Circuit disagreed with the Fifth, which it probably will not, but that injunction could get lifted. And if it did, the way the law currently reads is it's a violation for us not to have a plan in place by December 5th. And there are some pretty significant penalties from OSHA that can come with that if you don't have the plan in place. You don't have to have compliance until January 4th, so you don't actually have to fully implement it. It's just having to have a plan in place. So I think it makes a lot of sense for the judge and Angela to be able to formulate one, have one in our back pocket ready to go if and when that pause button comes off, because otherwise there would need to be an emergency fiscal court meeting pretty quickly, or we're facing some penalties there. As we discussed previously, the state of Kentucky has its own OSHA program, which includes state and local governments as employers. The federal OSHA itself does not. So my understanding from talking to some legislators is that the idea is as soon as they can get into session, they are going to follow the federal rule and exempt state and local governments as under the definition of employees under OSHA. So we might not have to deal with that, come the middle of January or something like that. That still leaves the question between January 4th, when it's supposed to go into place, and when that would pass the legislature, go to the governor's office, potentially get vetoed, and potentially get overridden. That's going to take a little bit of time. But at least for now, having a plan in place ready to go for December 5th, if one is needed, makes a lot of sense. So asking you to give the authority to the judge and Angela to work with us to create that. And there are essentially two templates. There's a vaccine only and the vaccine plus testing. There aren't a whole lot of decisions that go into it. There are some things about where and how employees are to be tested and things like that would be some details just to kind of work out the best deal for testing and whatnot.
I think we got to do what we got to do. I'd make a motion to approve and let them go ahead and start working on that.
I second that.
Motion and second. Any other questions?
So the plan we're looking at is either or?
Either.
Right, either.
Yeah. Okay. There's a religious exemption component to this for getting a vaccine, but that won't alleviate the need to be tested if you don't get vaccinated. So.
And basically, this is a plan. It's not going to be enforced until it becomes a law.
Right, and unless and until any injunction was lifted and any appeals have been exhausted. So it's probably something that we'll just have in our back pocket in that event. I think it's a somewhat unlikely event that the injunction would be lifted, but it's possible that it could happen. And just something that I didn't want us to be caught flat-footed on in case that did happen. But I frankly don't see the injunction being lifted, but every time I've tried to predict people that wear black robes for a living, it can be very tricky. With all deference to somebody here that used to wear a black robe for a living.
Hey, Steve, just real quick, I don't want to get too deep on this, but the cost associated with this, is it passed on to the employee if, in the event, we have to do this? I know our insurance will cover the shot. Testing, on a regular basis like that, that would be my question. How do we?
We can pass it on, but we don't have to.
Right, that is a choice that the
And it would be my preference not to.
Yeah, mine
Just have
as
to
well.
Figure out the best regimen to get it tested.
I'd prefer not to, but I think we need to look at the cost too, to see before, and then see what our numbers are. I mean, where do we stand, and do we need to try to incentivize some more?
I started to say
Yeah,
incentive
right.
might
We
not
just
be a
have to
bad
look
deal
at
if we
that
got to
issue,
that.
I think, whenever we get some more information.
We might leave the final detail about testing a little vague in our initial plan to allow us to make a decision as we get closer to January 5th about costs.
I don't normally like to treat employees differently, and maybe we can't, but it is so important that we try to keep that jail free of COVID. I mean, it just, once it starts running through the jail, it just...
They're doing a lot of their own testing, though.
They are,
aren't they?
but it just...
They do the rapid test down there.
Yeah.
I guess they buy them in bulk, you know, so.
And one example is that the jailer has extra rapid test machines we could utilize here with just a small amount of training. It's one option. So, anyway, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, with that, I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I hope it's joyous, and again, be nice to be getting back around family. And Logan, final salute. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor can leave.